Now, the Russians understand that as well as the Americans. In fact, if they don't understand it, they can read it in American strategic analysis journals, where they can read the detailed explanation of why the missile defense system is a potential threat to the Soviet deterrent. Okay, if there's a threat to the Soviet deterrent, what they're going to do is build up offensive military capacity to get around it, which is exactly what they're doing, of course. That increases the threat of nuclear war, maybe by accident. If you have systems on high alert, that they come really close to accidents very frequently, maybe stopped by human intervention in the last 2 minutes or something. So we're consciously increasing the threat of nuclear war. And there are many other cases. Now, let's take a major case. We just had the NATO summit, okay? Think about NATO for a minute. Somebody wanted some other topics to work on. Take NATO. Why does NATO exist? Okay. Now, during the Cold War, there was a kind of a rationale. I mean, you could believe it or not, but it had a rationale that wasn't total imbecility. It was supposed to be there to protect ourselves from a Russian attack. Was there a possibility of a Russian attack? Probably not, but at least there's some kind of a credible rationale. Well, after the Soviet Union disappeared, what's the rationale? There isn't any. And take a look at what happened. I mean, as the Soviet Union collapsed, Gorbachev, Russian premier, made an astonishing concession to the United States. He agreed to allow a unified Germany to be, of course, militarized, and also to join a hostile military alliance, NATO. Now that's astonishing. You just look at the history of the past century. I mean, Germany alone practically destroyed Russia several times in the century. Now he's saying militarized Germany, main power in Europe, can join a hostile military alliance led by the United States. Amazing concession. But he insisted on a quid pro quo and got it. He insisted that the Bush administration, this is Bush 1, agreed that, the words they used, that NATO would not expand 1 inch to the east. Okay, that gives Russia kind of a buffer zone. And that was agreed upon, pledged by the United States. Gorbachev also proposed a nuclear weapons-free zone from the Arctic down to the Mediterranean, which would again reduce the threat of accidental conflict or some other kind of conflict. The U.S. never responded to that, as far as I know. It never happened. All right, then Clinton came in. One of Clinton's first acts was to violate that pledge and expand NATO to the east. Okay, that, the Clinton administration, people like Stuart Talbot say that he was in charge of Eastern Europe, say, well, we had to do that to get the Eastern European states to join the European Union. But that's just not true. There's no connection between joining the European Union and being a member of NATO. And there's a lot of states, Austria, Finland, Sweden, are part of the European Union, but they're not part of NATO. So, okay, you want the Eastern European states in the European Union, makes some sense. It's got nothing to do with NATO. Expanding NATO to the east is just a seriously aggressive act, which significantly threatens Russia, so of course they reacted by expanding offensive military capacity. Then Bush came along with his aggressive militarism and expanded even further. And now it's expanded still further by Obama, by insisting on putting systems in Eastern Europe, which can only be understood. It's not even a worst case analysis. The only rational interpretation of them is as a threat to the Soviet deterrent, which is going to increase tensions. Well, it's not the only example, but there's case after case where actions are being taken which increase the threat of nuclear war, and that's terminal. Nothing much is going to survive a nuclear war. Many other examples. That's one case, and the other case is environmental destruction, which is creeping along. It's not like imminent and total the way nuclear war is, but it's going to be severe. Nobody knows the exact details, but everybody knows that the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. And it could be very severe. Again, a lot of uncertainties, but all the uncertainties look bad, and most of them look pretty bad. So that's two good reasons why the species is not unlikely to survive.